And it wasn't just like the universities. It was like as if they were coming all over to America, because you quote in the piece, like, a number of clearly, obviously, not disinterested politicians who were repeating claims like, don't make, it's like Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, like, don't make us fly because tomorrow is global day of jihad and people will be killed. We're not going to be here this weekend because we're all going to be killed from global day of jihad. Or she says, like, there's Matt Gaetz saying that Floridians would be armed because it is global day of jihad, like getting normal people ready as if there is a huge, I don't know how to say, a literal flood of Muslim fighters coming into the United States, like, and the suburban and exurban areas of cities to commit jihad. I mean, it was completely absurd.
Well, sorry, I just have to interject here. I watched, and God forgive me for this, but I watched yesterday while making lunch. It was a rather involved process, so I watched this for about 45 minutes. Patrick Bet-David, who I know, Matthew Petty, you are very close with. Patrick Bet-David, who is, I don't even know how to describe him, but if you don't know who he is, listeners, don't look it up. You're good. Patrick Bet-David and like three other roided out guys in their mid 40s in Miami who probably write off a lot of, well, visits with women. And Charlie Kirk connecting the Day of Jihad to the border crisis and saying, like, look, the DHS is identifying all these military-aged males from these, I can't remember what they're called, but like these countries that were basically like the countries on the Muslim ban list. Like there's like these tens of thousands of military-aged males coming over the border, and these are encounters that our Border Patrol has with them. And they're people from Turkey, they're people from, Afghanistan, they're people from Iraq, people from Iran. And they're connecting that with Global Day of Jihad. And it becomes, on the right here, this whole thing where there is this huge paranoia that the right wing has had about sleeper cells. And this has been going on for years and years and years and years and years. I would say pre 9/11 this has happened. But they believe that there are sleeper cells, whether that be sleeper cells of the People's Liberation Army soldiers somewhere in here, Chinese guys, or it's like, Muslim terrorists. They believe that they exist in all of these different cities. And it seems like this kind of connected with this post-October 7th paranoia to create this really like noxious brew in a lot of especially conservative media outlets.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying about the bridging between the two eras, right? Because the sleeper cell stuff or the terrorists at the southern border, that's like an old style real throwback, but then you combine it with like the anti-Semitic college students stuff. And I think like the war on terror is not being sold as well, right? Younger Americans are not buying it. And so it becomes this thing, it moves from there being a foreign threat to like there is an enemy within. And I mean, it's absurd, the idea that like, Harvard students are going to, pledge allegiance to a Palestinian nationalist Islamist group and commit terrorism on their behalf, just out of like the anti-Semitic mind virus or something. But
yeah,
right. It's an expression of something else, which is like this frustration that Americans are just not kind of buying the war on terror, and they're kind of apathetic. I mean, right. A lot of them are, which is why we had the Day of Jihad stuff, but a lot of them aren't. And it's now a big internal culture war issue. And then of course, like the bringing anti-Semitism into it, like, Biden called October 7th a second smaller Holocaust very recently. And I think it is this kind of going back from like the war on terror as a frontier war to like this struggle at the core of Western civilization, where like America deserves to rule the world because it defeated Hitler. And what is the anti-Hitler is Israel. And so therefore, what is anti-Israel? It means you're Hitler again.